Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. It's so good to have in the studio our friends, longtime friends of the USD Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education. Joining us is Bianca Alvarado, Associate Director of EdTech and Innovation and Impact for the Jacobs Institute. How you doing, Bianca?
Hi, Drew. Good. Thank you for having us here.
Always good to see you. You brought a colleague of yours, Ann Avilez, and she is the Social Innovation Specialist for the Institute. How you doing, Ann?
Hi, I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Good. How long have you been working for the Institute?
About a week now.
So you're a veteran. Okay. Yeah. My goodness. That's fantastic.
Yes.
And joining me is my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. They are celebrating their 20th anniversary in 2024, and Kristen has been a delight to have sitting next to me for all of these shows. And actually, Kristen was at our Soup Tank event. Thank you very much, Bianca, and you and Perla for hosting that at Mother Rosalie Hill Hall. What would you think of the event, Soup Tank?
Oh my God, so amazing! Everything that we get to collaborate with you and the whole team, it's amazing. So. Thank you.
It was our honor, and for our audience knows a little bit about Soup Tank, we had 9 county superintendents make a 5-minute pitch, just like Shark Tank, to a audience of community leaders and business leaders, education leaders, and there'll be some traction on seeing how much of those folks in the audience will support those pitches. At last year's Soup Tank, Joseph Clevenger, the superintendent of Bonsall, got $170,000 for some of his projects. Yeah, that's great stuff. So we'll start with you on this, Bianca. Talk about the mission of the Institute. What are you folks all about? What do you do?
Yes, so we're a nonprofit institute focused on research and development at the School of Leadership and Educational Studies, housed at the University of San Diego. And there we focus our work on making education more inclusive around innovative and educational practices.
Right. How long has the Institute been around?
The Institute's been around for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because we used to have like a different name, and then we rebranded to the Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education.
Right, exactly. And as you may or may not know, I was honored to be on the Charter Advisory Board of Dr. Paula Cordero when she formed the USD School of Leadership and Ed Sciences. And Paula is just an amazing person. You also have a very, very cool dean now.
Yes.
Stephanie was there to greet the group at Soup Tank. Kristen, I know you got a question.
I do. Can you speak a little bit to creating access for teens with Pactful and the Jacobs Teen Innovation Challenge?
Yes, so this year we'll be hosting the 5th annual of the 2024 Jacobs Teen Innovation Challenge. And our goal is to make innovation more inclusive, access to design thinking skills, and designing social projects. So we work directly with educators, and then they work with their students to design social projects aligned with the United Nations global goals. And they go through a process of accessing the platform. Pactful.org is an open web browser application that has over 32 activities for free for anyone to access. So we walk teachers through that process for the challenge.
Okay. And what does the challenge look like? Can you tell me about like what day of or what it's like leading up to that?
Yes, so right now we're at the phase of recruitment. So we're going to be reaching out to educators, school districts, schools, to have teachers enroll for November, December, and then deadline for application is January 10th.
Okay.
And then we kick off on January 25th with the first webinar. So it's broken down using that design thinking process, simplifying a version for high school students to understand, but also be able to design a social project at the end. So every month we focus on a specific phase. We go through the ideate phase, the understand phase, the prototype, which is always fun for students and teachers to create different prototypes and also gather feedback based on their users. And finally, in May, they submit a pitch submission, which is a 5-minute video of the students presenting their social project idea and submitting it for awards and prizes that we award.
Very cool. Okay, so high schoolers, what type of instructors are usually drawn to this? Like civics teachers or history, like who are kind of these teachers that are getting involved?
Yeah, so the idea behind Packful is that we've seen like teachers from all industries.
Oh, okay, great.
Implemented even like after school programs. Because when we say educators, it's geared toward any adult or adult leader that wants to organize a group of students.
Okay. And any sort of like freshmen to seniors? Like, do you see more from one swath or the other?
Yeah, so it's for high school and middle school students too. And it varies. It does vary depending on the subject. But for example, we have a bioscience teacher that uses it for their curriculum, and they design projects around the classroom curriculum, align it to Packful. So sometimes they make it like a semester end project goal as part of their grade also for the class. So it really depends. That's like the flexibility that we leave to educators, because we know that that's also something that they need. So it's up to them to decide where to implement the project with what students, if it's one class or all their classes. But yeah, definitely we see it in government classes, economics, math. Yeah.
Cool.
Anywhere where they want to develop a social project using their main curriculum as backbone, but designing for a social good cause.
Nice. And Anne, I know you've been here for years and years and years.
Yes.
You're brand new to the process, but what's kind of your role in this?
Right. So right now my role is the social innovation specialist. Okay. So I'm pretty much helping market the challenge this year.
Okay.
And doing any outreach from email marketing to social media now. So that's mostly what my background has been previously. It's been in social media marketing for about 3 years. I'm a recent UC San Diego grad.
Oh, congrats.
So that's how I came across Bianca.
Right.
We actually met at a networking event, and then it went from there.
Beautiful.
It was great.
That's what they're there for.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to be part of the team this year, because for me, education is such a vital point. I'm a first generation student. So seeing all of the work that's being put in to reach all of these youth in schools, to promote them and help them get into the industry is really exciting.
Nice. And
Right.
Drew and Charles, who will be coming on the mic and helping host with me, which I always enjoy, later knows all about this. But for me, trying to get clear about everything. So, okay, I know the student range and everything like that. You're doing the marketing.
Correct.
Is this for all high school and middle schoolers in San Diego, or do you choose a subset?
It's
Tell me
broad.
about that.
So the challenge is open internationally.
Okay.
You don't have to be in San Diego to participate, but pretty much we're going in with our email leads first. So previous participants in previous challenges, people that have connections to other educators in other parts of the country or maybe internationally. That's who we're mainly focusing on.
Okay, so people are flying here for this challenge.
So the cool thing about this is that everything's online.
Okay, all right, beautiful.
Yeah, everything's online. So we, like Anne mentioned, we have educators from all over the world. Japan, Colombia.
Wow.
We also see, going back to your question about who's implementing the curriculum, we see like English teachers abroad using that curriculum to teach their students English in a Packful way.
Cool.
Designing projects.
Sure. No, it's all good. We're chatting with Bianca Alvarado. She's the Associate Director of EdTech and Innovation and Impact at USD Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education, joined by her colleague Anne Avilez, a Social Innovation Specialist. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year. We are broadcasting these really cool mission-fed studios in Scripps Ranch and Mission Federal Credit Union, continuing to raise the bar for San Diegans for more than 60 years. So I know our friends at the Classroom of the Future Foundation, and I've been honored to be on the leadership team for quite a while. I certainly work with you shoulder to shoulder. We'll be getting back to Ann shortly on really pushing this out to our constituency as well. As you know, there's a great synergy between Classroom of the Future Foundation, obviously, and what you folks do, at the Institute on that. And again, thank you so much for hosting CFF's Soup Tank event on this. Ann, did you go through this program at all? Or you?
I did not know. So I actually grew up in Houston, Texas, so I had no idea this was even available. I moved here for university for UCSD, so that was my introduction.
Why'd you choose UCSD?
It was actually an interesting story.
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So when I was applying initially to universities, I knew I didn't want to stay in Texas, but my plan was always to be on the East Coast. For whatever reason, I loved the East Coast. Life didn't turn out that way, but for the best, honestly, because I had never visited California before besides LA. All I knew was LA. And as soon as I got here, I was basically expecting San Diego to be a mini LA, which I was very happy that it was not the
Very
case.
different, yes.
Right. So my options were basically UCSD or UCSB. For me, since I was majoring in international business and wanting to go in psychology, I knew UCSD was a very renowned institution, so I wanted to attend. And I said, you know what, even though I don't know the area, I've never toured it. I also started when the pandemic hit, so I had no idea what to expect, really. It was a mess for everyone. But it honestly turned out better than I could have ever hoped. And as soon as I got to UCSD, I was very grateful that I did choose it.
Well, we're grateful you're here in that aspect of it. And so we need as many brilliant minds coming from other parts of the country on this. So thank you for sharing that story. Bianca, what's so cool about what you folks do, and I know you have a strong relationship with my business partner, Charles Parisi, the CEO and founder of Cloudcast Media. And Charles has been working with you folks, and the kids do podcasts, do they not, from their projects?
Yes, I think when I'm asked about like very inspiring stories, a lot of them come from during our programs at the Impactful Teen Innovation Sandbox, because we're always exploring and trying best ways to serve students, their families, and having them design projects, again, going back to using the Impactful curriculum and also the podcasting knowledge that Charles brings on that side too.
Well, what's cool about this, and as you've heard, I've been honored to have been doing this stuff for 17 years. It wasn't even called podcasting at the time. It was called internet radio at the time, listen, when you get the word out, and more importantly, and this is just in Charles's DNA, and all of ours for that matter, you let the kids have their own voice. My goodness. We know that we should be doing more of this, but it's amazing we don't. But thanks to what you folks are doing with this Innovation Challenge, and what Charles has really tried to build up through Schoolcast and so forth, giving kids that voice is just absolutely so critical. When we come back from break, we're going to have Charles slide into the host seat over here, working with Kristen. Can't wait. Very good. And then maybe he'll be a permanent replacement for me. So on this,
so you're leaving for good.
That's right. That's right. Charles
All right.
is saying, no, I'm not going to do that, and so forth. So we're going to be right back with our friends from the Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education, housed at USD. Bianca Alvarado, Associate Director of EdTech and Innovation Impact, joined by our colleague Ann Avilez. She's the Social Innovation Specialist. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us. Welcome back to Spotlight on the Community. This is not Drew Schlosberg. Apparently there has been...
Has he gone missing?
It's kind of been of a pinch hit here in the middle of the show, but my name is Charles Parisi. I'm the founder and CEO of Cloudcast Media, filling in for the irreplaceable Drew Schlosberg. But fortunately, I have on the air his co-host, Kristen Barrymore Fogel.
Hello.
Hello there. So are you connected to the Barrymore family?
I am deeply.
Yeah, that's
intrinsically. No, it's been coming up a lot lately. I think you guys opened some sort of like floodgate. You know, someone called me Drew Barrymore on the show, and then ever since, people have been like, you look like that Drew Barrymore.
Well, since we're talking about having impact, you feel like you could be more impactful as a member of the Barrymore family?
I'm pretty impactful as it is,
okay,
Charles.
Good.
I mean, come on.
All right, well, let's get back to the show because Chris and I could go on forever.
That's true.
This is Spotlight in the Community. We are recording here at the Mission Fed studio, gorgeous studio here in Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed is the sponsor of the show. Just another example of the amazing work they do for the community and work they've been doing for the community for over, how many years now?
60 years.
Over 60 years.
Yeah, true story.
That? So Drew, of course, has been hosting the show. It's the longest running community podcast in American history, 17 years now, and we're so pleased to have it on the Cloudcast Media Network. But I'm really excited to be here with someone I know quite well, Bianca Alvarado, Associate Director of EdTech and Innovation Impact at the Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education, and kind of a newbie.
Yes.
Ann Avilez.
Yes.
Social Innovation Specialist, recent graduate of UCSD. We won't hold that against you since you work for USD.
Indeed.
But so let's kind of pick up where we left off. So let me, and I want to throw the notes out the window because you and I like,
weird.
We like to go unplugged.
That's true.
And by the way, I'm going to share with the two of you in the audience. Drew likes to run his shows like 27 minutes on the nose. Kristen and I, we like to go overtime.
Well, Charles does. He just runs off the rails and I have to run on with him. I'm attached to the train, so I have to.
You throw me under the bus.
No, I'm on the train with you.
Okay,
you take the train off in this new track, and I'm like, wee, by the time we're done. But it's a little thrilling and scary while I'm on the train.
Yeah, so we're not gonna hold to the clock because if there's great information.
Oh God, if you
have
have plans later, cancel them.
Yeah, forget lunch.
Oh my
Cancel your afternoon.
Notify your spouses. You're here.
It's about impact. So let's get to it. Hey, I have a question for you, Ann. I'm going to start with you.
Yes.
What does impact mean to you?
To me, impact means helping people around you, uplifting the community around you.
Does that suffice? Is that the pageant answer that you? Does she win a prize?
No, I want to peel that back a little bit more.
Okay.
So how do you get to impact?
Yeah, so you start with outreach. You let people know of the resources available to them. That's the first step. Because the thing is, a lot of people, there are resources everywhere accessible, but not a lot of people may know where to even go to access them. And for me personally, I know that quite well. As a first-gen student, I really didn't have that much of a helping hand figuring out the whole process to education, to higher education. We were speaking earlier, I am applying to law school, so that whole process as well is difficult to navigate, as I'm sure we're aware. So yeah, resource distribution and letting people know where they can find the resources.
Yeah, no, that's great. As a first gen, because I think this all ties together, Bianca. We're going to get back to the impactful, all the amazing work you're doing with teens and trying to teach them how they in fact can have impact. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like to be the first to go to school.
Absolutely. So for me, the process started when I essentially got to the U.S. I was born in Mexico City, and I grew up in Houston, Texas. For me, that transition was interesting because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know English. Spanish is my first language. So that in itself was a stepping stone, but manageable nonetheless. But where I noticed and where my passion for education came into play was where I grew up. So the neighborhood I grew up in was predominantly Hispanic. So when I got there, it felt like family. It felt like a community around me that I recognized. Well, right before I got into high school, we moved to a completely different area. And that area, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Johnson Space Center, NASA, right there. That's that neighborhood. Yes, that is where I grew up, the latter part of my childhood. And when I moved there, the disparity in resources was drastic, truly drastic. In the first school district, you had school counselors basically telling students that the most that they could achieve or the most that they should reach for is community college. But there's nothing wrong with community college, but telling students that that's the most that they can achieve is horrible. Yeah. When I transferred to the second school district, drastic change in the disparity in the resources available. Counselors were now telling you, aim for Ivies. You should be aiming for Ivy League schools. You can do it. This is how you get there. Yeah. So to me, all of my friends back at the other school district, they were being told something completely different. They were being coached completely different, or not even coached at all, not even mentored. So for me, that was really frustrating because I knew all of these youth have the potential to go so far, but it's just the mindset around them that changes and the access to resources. And you peel that layer back a little bit and you see, why does that happen? It's because of the surroundings. So naturally in the first school district, the income bracket is lower. In the second school district, being behind NASA, it's a very different tax bracket, hence the funding for education. So that was where I kind of felt frustrated because even though I navigated the process to applying to college decently well, not everyone has that opportunity. Not everyone had the opportunity to move from school district A to school district B. Not everyone gets that chance or even to see that all of that is out there. So once I got to UCSD, I knew I wanted to make some change in education, make an impact, essentially. So I helped co-found 2 organizations on my campus based on that principle. The first one is called Gen Up UCSD. That organization is a nationwide organization, but it was one of the first chapters here in California. And with that organization, it's basically an educational advocacy resource organization. So we advocate for educational reform, equitable policies to ensure students in K-12 education get the resources they need to achieve higher education. May that be, master's programs, just getting their bachelor's degree, whatever it may be. So with that organization, I helped lobby with them, with the California Senate to pass a mental health bill that allowed for K-12 students to have mental health days as excused absences, which coming from Texas, that was unheard of to me. Yeah. But seeing as here in California, people were advocating for this, it was such a great experience to be part of that movement. And then the second organization I helped found, co-founder SOHIL, Society of Hispanic Students in Law and Allies, that stands for basically providing an easy access point and an accessible access point for students to go to receive mentorship for law school. If they want to become lawyers, they can go there. Resources, have mentorship programs, workshops, anything like that. And that started because when I got to UCSD, there was no open access organization to go to for law school resources or pre-law resources for that matter, unless you count the Career Center, which isn't really helpful sometimes. So besides us, it was just the pre-law fraternity, which being a fraternity, it already has its level of exclusivity. You have to pay dues to get in. You have to apply to get in. It's not easy getting in, essentially. So since there was no point for students to go to, we decided to be that resource. So yes.
But that's incredible in a million different ways, Kristen.
Yeah.
Because first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope that all of our listeners are listening to a young woman who came here from Mexico City.
Yes.
English as a second language.
Correct.
And I know from our conversation how extraordinarily well you did on your law school admissions test. And you're going to end up at one of the top law schools in America. So I want our listeners to really pay attention to your journey and how all of America wins. When we welcome young people into this country. So, Bianca, a question for you. When you hear this, because you discovered Anne at a networking event, but talk about impact. What does that make you feel while listening to this story about she started impact organizations on campus and how you want to bring more young people along to do similar types of projects?
Yes, I mean, that's the hard of what we do. And thank you. And I think I wouldn't have been able to explain and go through what you said more beautiful than you did. So thank you for sharing that. Giving access to, like Anna was describing, giving access to innovation tools. We see a great inequality in the number of people who apply for patents, both in gender. Males are more likely to apply for patents. Rich neighborhoods, as we saw, a perfect illustration. Parents with higher income, their students are more likely to apply for patents. All that research is what PACFO is based on. The lack of access to these resources, to the mindset of creating, having an innovative mindset that is not just a tool to use for design thinking, but it's a mindset that you can use not only to design products, services, social good causes for your community, like we do with Sandbox, but it's a whole shift of mindset of, okay, I can design solutions for the challenges that I'm facing at an individual level, my local neighborhood, at a rural level, and that's the heart of PACFO. And I just want to mention that the website, if anybody wants to look more into the curriculum, again, we have open source curriculum, over 32 activities that are accessible for anyone to access. They just need to create a teacher account and they'll be able to access the platform, invite their students to their classes. It's pacfo.org. And specifically for this challenge is pacfo.org/JTIC24, and we'll put it as the notes here so people can click on the link. But of course, I also want to thank the generosity of Dr. Irving and Mrs. John Jacobs, who make all of our work possible to make this kind of curriculum and tools accessible to students, not only from the U.S., but from all over the world, and seeing how educators are adapting it to their different schools in order to make it accessible, even more so within countries that have way less resources that we have here. Something that we see typically in the teachers that are part of the challenge is that over 65% are from Title I schools. So that means that students who get free lunch or have some sort of financial insecurity at home. And those are the students who we're trying to serve. Those are the students who are at the heart of this, diverse students who usually don't get your typical access to this kind of innovative tools. And I think that's something also that we've been able to see with Charles, with Impactful Teen Innovation Sandbox, in a live version of it. But yeah, pacfo.org/JTIC. All of our curriculum is available online. But at a local level, we also do this kind of work with the Sandbox in Charles.
Yeah. Well, and Kristen, let me give you a little background on the Impactful Sandbox, with the Jacobs Institute for Innovation and Education. And we kind of we love working with students, and it's great to be over there at USD, because here's the reality. And I think you know this. Our generation has created all kinds of problems for you young people. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And literally, if you think about the number of challenges, because I don't like to use the word problem, I shouldn't have used that, opportunity for improvement. We left you many opportunities for improvement. The key is, so since we left you all of these wonderful OFIs, opportunities for improvement, can we at least help you with the skill sets needed to solve those challenges? And that's really what Impactful Sandbox is about, and design thinking, the program built, by the Jacobs Institute and their PACFul app, because we have to give students the opportunity to learn the process by which you can design, outcomes. And so why don't you talk a little bit about, because I think we did the first ever bilingual, didn't we do the first ever bilingual episode with the students this year?
Yes.
So tell the audience about one of the summer cohorts.
Yes, it was super excited because we always take an intake survey before we invite students to be part of the camp. And we ask them, what are the most critical issues that you're interested in? And there we include all the global goals. We can be from local they also include local issues too, like poverty or mental health and wellness, sustainability, all kinds of related social issues that we see. And of course, one of the ones that it keeps popping up high, it's like mental health and wellness for teens. So what's cool about this Impactful Teen Innovation Sandbox is that we integrate the Impactful curriculum, which uses design thinking process method, and we have students design social projects, but we also invite civic leaders, like local civic leaders. That can be non-government leaders, nonprofit leaders. And this time around, we had a pro boxer come from Tijuana, Chapulín, Jose Salas. And he was there this summer, and students got to gather insight from their project, which focused on community gardens and access to healthy food. And he was there physically in person. Students were super excited. Everybody wanted to interview Chapulín, and they were taking signatures, taking photos.
So cool.
And he was super excited to see the brightness on their face, like the students. And I think that's something that we often lose in education, the spark that students get when they're excited and they're fully engaged in their learning. I think that's something that we saw at Charles, and I think that's something that, we produced a bilingual podcast, our first bilingual podcast. They were asking questions in Spanish, also some team members, so being able to see themselves represented. We had some Hispanic students also who were using their language, and their language was not being put on the side, like, oh, don't speak Spanish here, which, surprisingly, I just heard a story of this just happened in one of the schools, where teachers are like, don't use your language, or instead of celebrating students who are bilingual or their heritage or their background. And that was our first bilingual podcast. You can look it over on any podcast serving platforms. So you can look it up as Impactful Teen Innovation Sandbox. And I'm sure you have something to add there, Charles, too, because that was a very good experience for us.
No, it was an incredible experience. And Kristen, I'm not going to reveal the answer, but something really cool happened, because the students have to literally create their whole storyboard and questions for the guest. Cool. So Jose Chapulín Salas, he had, I'm going to argue, one of the best, most creative questions ever asked on a Cloudcast podcast.
Okay.
He actually, because there's an animal that's actually a pretty good boxer.
Okay.
It's a kangaroo.
All right. Yeah.
So they actually asked him, would he box a kangaroo? Now, I'm not going to reveal the answer, but you have to go back and listen to the episode.
Okay.
So listen to Impactful Sandbox on all your favorite podcast listening apps. And speaking of listening, you are listening to Spotlight in the Community by Drew Schlosberg. I am not Drew Schlosberg. I'm Charles Parisi. I'm here with
Kristen Fogel.
And we are here having a fantastic conversation with Bianca Alvarado and Avilez from the Jacobs Institute for Innovation in Education. I want to come back to something, Kristen, I think is so important. Sometimes life is about serendipity, right?
Sure, yeah.
You don't know where conversations are going to go.
Yep.
But it's all about impact and access and lifting lives. And that's what Jacobs Institute and Bianca and the team do every single day. But Anne, there's a reason why you're here today, okay? And you said something really, really important.
Yes.
And you experienced different types of coaching and expectations based on the two schools that you attended.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that stuck with me too.
It's a blessing that you experience that, because there's so many students don't realize the different coaching levels that take place. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want to roll the clock back. Tell us about how the move happened. Why did you switch schools? What was behind that? And were you reluctant at first to even change schools? That's what I want you to share with the audience.
Yes, absolutely. So stepping back even a little bit further, the whole reason why we moved to the U.S. in the first place was because my dad wanted me to get a better education than what was available for us in Mexico. I was raised by a single father, so that in itself was a very big change too. But he knew that he wanted to give me the best education possible. And luckily at the time, I'm so grateful to him, truly, because he thought of things way ahead of time. He had submitted the process for us to become eligible for a green card before I was even born, because he knew that things were changing. Things were changing in Mexico, and especially in our area. He knew he had.
What is your dad's name?
Eulogio Avilez.
Say something to him.
Te amo mucho, papi. Muchas gracias por todo lo que me has dado. And yeah, and what I said was, thank you, Dad. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, because he's truly such an amazing man. I look up to him in so many ways. And he has been one of my mentors, actually, my entire life. And so going back to that, the whole reason why the move happened to the U.S. in the first place was for education. So growing up, I always knew the value of education. I was that kid that loved going to school. That was one of my happy places, because I knew I was there for a purpose, to learn and just to grow and experience what the U.S. had to offer in terms of opportunity, everything. I was very aware of that. So I was never that type of person to say, oh, I hate going to school. Because if I ever uttered those words, my dad would remind me, like, hey, remember why you're here. Yeah. So the reason why the move happened from the first school district, it's called Pasadena, that's the city. The reason why was because at my middle school, things were just going terribly. People were getting into fights left and right. People at the age of 13 were getting pregnant. And my dad saw that. And in his head, and he had the conversation with me too, and he was like, hey, I know you have a life established here, you have friends, but this isn't the place for you. We did not make this move just for you to be in similar circumstances to what you would be subject to if we had stayed.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't really have a choice, but I saw where he was coming from, again, because of having that awareness of the importance of education. So I said, okay, that's fine. And we moved. He got us a new place in Clear Lake. That's where I went to school. That's the neighborhood around NASA. And it was a huge adjustment. My first day in high school there, I was taking all AP class or pre-AP AP classes. And my first introduction, the community there, especially in AP and pre-AP classes, if you're familiar with that, it's about advanced placement. People in those classrooms weren't used to seeing a Latina in their classrooms. So my first class that I attended, I got to my first class, and the first thing someone did was walk up to me and say, "Are you lost?" Like asking me, like, "Are you in the wrong classroom? You're like regulars down the hall." That was my welcome to that school district. And it was a rough start, honestly, because I went from having my surroundings be people that looked like me, spoke similar languages as me, grew up in similar ways as me, to suddenly doing a whole 360 and being with people who were unfamiliar with, I guess, how I grew up, or just even like the fact that I spoke Spanish, the fact that I had the features that I have. They just weren't used to that. So I made friends, but it did take a while. And for me, since again, my focus just turned into, you know what? You're here to learn. You're here to take advantage of the opportunities academically that this school offers you, that this area offers you. So I just focused on the positive. For me, it has always been about mindset. And that's one of the things my dad instilled in me. Always have a positive mindset, have a positive outlook to whatever it is you're doing, because when you step into something with positive intentions, the universe basically rewards you for that. And I think it's very true.
Wow. How difficult was it for your dad for you to head off to San Diego?
Very difficult, yes. So my dad, growing up also, he didn't like speaking in English because of his accent. He has a very thick accent also. His first language is Spanish, so he knew the basics of English. He knows how to speak English, but because of his accent, he just hated how it sounded, so he feels more comfortable in Spanish. So growing up, I was always the one translating for him, just helping him out with just anything, whether it was documents, whether it was anything really, just translating. And, being a single father, I was, I was one of the only people that he had in his life, especially here. So So when he heard that I wanted to go out of state, he was supportive. He was surprised, a little bit, not hurt, but just like he knew that I was doing it because I had these aspirations. I wanted to go to the East Coast for a reason. I had some very specific schools that I had in mind because, again, of our values, the values that he raised me with. So he said, you know what, like, hija, adelante, like, go ahead. I trust you. And I'm praying with you that you get into the schools that you want to. And as we discussed, it took a different turn. I was expecting to be on the East Coast, and now I'm here in San Diego. And when he came to drop me off, we actually drove from Texas all the way to San Diego together. And he helped me set up my dorm. Like, he got to see the whole experience. And also being first generation, to me, that meant the world. Him seeing where I was going to be at university, him seeing like the surroundings, he was just like so in awe. And I will truly never forget his face when he had to leave, because he's like, I love you, and we'll be in touch. To this day, I still FaceTime him every single day.
Yeah. Well, Kristen.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting all of this.
No, you always take us on an amazing turn.
But the key is it's so connected to Bianca, Lisa Dolly, Perla Myers at the Jacobs Institute, because it's about access, impact, giving every possible opportunity. And I always got to give a little shout out to James Brown, the legendary artist who had a song that basically said, just open the door, I'll get it myself. But we got to stop closing doors on people. Mm-hmm. And so when doors open, I'll get it myself. And you have gotten it yourself. Exactly. And your dad essentially helped open that door for you. So you got to give a tremendous tribute to your dad, because he's a phenomenal human being. Yeah, but Bianca, what does this make you feel? What about impact? And when you're trying to lift as many students as possible to achieve what Ann achieved, because that's what the Jacobs Institute is all about in their programs.
Yes, so our main goal is how can we get in touch with more educators, with more students, build more partnerships with local organizations, global organizations. I think that's the heart also of what we do. We're always open to have conversations, to come and do a workshop, to come and present to the community, be out in the community. That's one of the main philosophies with our current executive director, Perla Myers. How can we engage families? And that's one of the, I think, also being able to serve diverse communities from where they're coming from. And for the Hispanic families, a big value and generational wealth. And her, through her different programs, she's doing that. Incredible. She's bringing generational wealth of knowledge and training the parents and training the grandparents, saying that it's not only the student, it's also the community that's behind them, their family, their schools, their parents. And that's what we're working on now, building those relationships, not only with the students, the teachers, the organizations that serve the students. Some of the amazing partners we have been able to collaborate before, Barrio Logan Institute, and different organizations that also are doing this to make that possible, no? Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Well, Bianca, listen, I'm so excited to always be working with you and the Jacobs Institute, and to have a young woman like this now to be able to work over the next year to work with students. It's just a testament to everything that you're doing there. Kristen, any before we head out, any thoughts? You look like you're really you're thinking a lot about this conversation.
No, I mean there were a lot of really good gems from this conversation, and so I hope that people get to listen to your story and check out the Jacobs Institute and everything like that. So just one final time, can you shout out the website so that people can learn more?
Yes, please. So it's pacfo.org/JTIC24. And if you go to the website, it has all the information regarding the challenge, when to apply. We have a information session coming up on November 16 at 4 p.m. So they can register using that link on the website. That one's going to be, all of our trainings are done online, and we always send a recorded version. So if they're not able to join the live call, they can sign up still, and they'll get that recorded. It has the timeline, when to register, what are the guidelines for filling out the application. They can also fill out the application online. And the prizes, because students and teachers also get prizes as part of this challenge. So we have $2,000 for the best overall social innovator. And we also have a few more awards around the most local and global impact, the most creative, the most social justice and equity award. And we also have a DRS daylight solution. So that's our solutions related to photonics, the transmission of light, funded by DRS daylight solution, a collaborator. But also I just want to say thank you to all of our partners, Charles, Cloudcast, and San Diego Future Foundation, and all the different partners that are part of this and make programs like this possible.
Beautiful. Well, thank you both for being here. And I'll speak on behalf of Drew, if you don't mind. Hopefully you'll come back and maybe bring some of the students or teachers that have benefited from the program. And can we set that up at some point?
We will. I think that's a great idea. And before we do the usual sign off, and I want you to do me a favor. I want you to translate something for me, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to say to Señor Avilez,
Okay.
thank you for the gift of Anne.
To Señor Avilez, gracias por el regalo de Annie.
And the incredible impact she's going to have for the rest of her life because of your decision to bring her to this country.
Y el impacto maravilloso que ella va a tener en su vida y va a dar a todos por tu decisión de traerla a este país.
And it's my pleasure to have met you through this podcast.
Y es mi honor haberte conocido a través de este podcast.
Thank you so much for doing that. My name is Charles Parisi, filling in for Drew Schlosberg, flying the airplane with.
I'm Kristen Fogel. I'm the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Thanks, Charles. This was great.
As Ren, you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight in the Community, generously brought to you by the Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for San Diego for over 60 years. And we hope that you listen to the show, share the show, subscribe to the show, and don't miss any of the amazing episodes of Spotlight in the Community. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.